Welcome everybody to the Modern Day Women show. So today we have a great show. I'm really excited about today's topic. So today we're going to be discussing interracial relationships, and we have a special guest, well, two guests, a couple, Jack and Naomi, and they're going to be speaking with us later in the show. So ladies, all right, let me start. Edith.
Yes.
Would you date someone outside of your race? Don't lie. Yes or no?
Ah! How you gonna put me on the spot?
I am.
Do you know what? It really depends.
No. Yes or no?
No.
The face of it all.
Chloe, would you date someone out? No, hold on. You don't even date your race. Wait.
I can't even deal with my own family, let alone deal with my own culture. I can't. I've only ever dated black or mixed race men. I don't think I've ever ventured.
Shah?
I would say no, but I have dated outside my race, but it's not because one time. Tried and tested.
Okay, Kim. Well, you're with a black guy.
Yeah, so I'm already dating out my race.
Okay, but
So
would you?
who would I date?
Yeah, would you date like white men, Asian men?
Have
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's already married.
Yes.
So you would date
Of
different
ethnicity-
races?
Yeah. Yes.
Have you before your husband?
Yes.
Okay. There we
Yes. I've dated all kinds of men.
And Kelly, what about you?
Would you? I thought we were just skipping on to the next question. I mean, I've dated outside of my race. My child is mixed race, so yeah,
Okay.
I would.
So you date a
My
white
children
man?
are heavily mixed race.
Yeah, I'd date a white man. Yeah, completely. Most of the men that I've dated have been white. Listen, I don't want the backlash. All you black men, I just keep it. I don't want it. But yeah, most of the guys that I have dated have been white. So yeah,
So have you ever dated a black guy?
I have dated a black guy, yeah, many moons ago. But I have dated black men. So yeah. So why do we think interracial relationships are now on the rise, especially in the UK?
I think it's our society, isn't it?
We're so mixed.
Yeah, I think especially in London, I think it's hard for you to kind of meet someone
Yeah.
that you actually get along with and gel with.
Yeah.
That is going to be within your same race. So I
Yeah.
think it's the way we live now.
So why is it like looked down upon sometimes? Like,
Culture comes into it a lot. Like the older generation, they kind of want you to keep that same bloodline, I guess.
so do you think it's but I don't think it's just the older generation. I think the younger generation also have issues with it. You know, I don't just think it's the older thing. Why do you think that?
I don't know. I don't.
No, I think, well,
I don't know. I think
no, I think for my daughter, because I've looked through her phone, and I've seen mixed race and white guys, and it's predominantly because we live in a area that doesn't have a lot of black people. So I have friends and influences. I guess that's who she.
I think
tends
that
to
does.
like.
I think that plays a big part of
Yeah.
it as well. It's actually what area you live in.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's true. Up until 15, oh my God, if you look through my diaries and you see a list of hottest men, it's like, no, it's so embarrassing. Listen, I had like Vin Diesel on there. Listen, I even had Shaggy Rogers from Scooby-Doo. Who was it? Matthew Lillard? Well, listen, when I tell you, it's embarrassing. It's like some guy from like Blazing Squad. Listen, it was embarrassing. 15 plus though, and then when I moved to London, when I was 16 and went to college, boy, I remember I was going through college with my mum. I went through college with my mum in Hackney, and it was all black guys, and they were looking at me like, "Oh, you're gonna come to this college?" And I'm like, you know me, I was like, yes. And my mum looked like she was clutching to my stepdad's hand, like she wanted to cry. She was like, "No, my baby."
And just never looked back.
I never went back.
But don't you think like everything to do with interracial relationship, there's always kind of like the negative connotations assigned to it? Like, why is that? Surely it's a beautiful thing, two races coming together. So why is there always this kind of negative kind of cloud always?
I had a midwife when I was giving birth to my first child, because they're heavily mixed race. My children are Filipino, Australian, Guyanese, English, Italian. Trying to put that on a form, but I remember the midwife when I told her, you just take other.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
I remember one midwife I told her where I was from, where the father's from, to do the health checks, and she was like, "I don't know why you people do it." And I was like, and I was young then as well. I was like 20, I think, when I had my first daughter. So I was a bit like, I didn't say anything, but that made me feel so. I was really like uncomfortable with that.
Especially
She
that
really-
term,
yeah.
you people. That's
Exactly.
So Kimmy, do you think, like, you know, when you started dating your husband, do
Yeah.
you have to understand his culture? Did, like, you know, because the black culture, especially Nigerian culture, is very different. So do you think that it was your honor to understand that culture before getting with him, or why you was with him?
I think like respecting his culture
Yeah.
has been like a massive thing that I wanted to do, and I've wanted to get to know it. I mean, like,
Your children as
yeah,
well?
my children are half Nigerian, and his family are Nigerian. It's like two families are merging together.
Completely,
so obviously,
yeah.
I'm going to embrace his culture. Of course, it's very different. The food is delicious, but of course, it's very different. You know,
Yeah.
like you know, we are very different people. We're brought up very differently.
Yeah.
So being able to bring our kids up
Yeah.
has and will be an ongoing challenge
yeah.
because we both had different upbringings.
Completely.
But it's nice. It's nice that I can get to know,
A different culture.
yeah, it's different, his culture.
So for me, like, if I start dating like a white guy, there's always these questions. There's always questions around, and I feel like, okay, I need to prep you so you know certain things. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, the hair will come into places. So I had a guy that I was speaking to the other day, and he was like, oh, so I heard you can't pull black women's hair. I'm like, okay. So he was like, so what's the hair situation? And I was like, okay, so yeah, we wear weaves, we wear wigs, blah, 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 blah. He's like, okay, cool. So he was like, so if we had children, would they wear wigs? I was just like,
what?
yeah, but it's just so they just
No,
don't know.
I think because my friend, when she was dating a white guy, you know, like they like to kiss, they like to do this, and it's like, you can't go too high. And they think like you're pulling away because you don't want to kiss them, but it's just you can't do
You just
that.
don't want that shit to fall off. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, but you have to explain certain
Yeah,
things.
I think once you get down in the relationship, because there's another couple that I watch on YouTube, and like her husband helps her camera her hair
Yeah.
or takes out the hair. So once they get to learn everything,
Yeah.
it's gonna flow with them.
Yeah. And
No,
some
your kids won't wear wigs.
no, you
No.
and your kids won't
Definitely
they
not.
won't wear weaves and stuff. But like, speaking on kids, what are the complexities when having mixed race children, do you think?
Identity.
Yeah,
Big. That's a
100%,
big
yeah.
thing.
Identity, because they don't know like what category they fall in. They don't know if they should identify as white. They don't know if they should identify as black.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of kids have been bullied around that whole, you know, trying to identify with what they are.
Yeah.
It's quite sad,
It is.
to be quite
I
honest.
think you've got to give them equal balance in terms of cultures, and so giving them like you have to show them both sides so they know
Who
who
they are.
Yeah, because I think some people try not to shy away, or one is more dominant than the other, and
Yeah.
then I think that's when you start getting issues.
Completely.
And also I think when they're in school and they've got friends and their influences, and I don't look like you, and
Yeah.
you know, it's
That
comparing.
plays a massive
Yeah.
part. Because my son had an issue when he was like in year 1. So he's got like lovely curly hair, and he hated it. He hated his hair because everything he was watching on like Nickelodeon and stuff, like it was like white boys with like straight hair. So he was like, Mummy, like, can we straighten my hair? Can I cut my hair? Because he hated it. So I was like, oh my God, like this is what everyone was talking about with mixed children sometimes. So what I did is I started explaining to him every night and teaching him about Black history.
Yeah.
And so he could identify
With
with
his hair
something.
type, yeah,
And like,
as
you know,
well.
I made him, you know, spoke to him about being a king and, you know, what our ancestors went through, what we all achieved and stuff. And his dad is Greek, so they as well have an important history. So I started teaching him about that. So he felt empowered in himself. Yeah. So when anyone tried to say anything to him, he's like, no, actually, but you know, my people beat your people, so don't tell me, you know? But then, you know, it changes, and I think that's really important to let them know about their history so they can identify with something.
Yeah. I
You
used
know?
to face bullying. when I grew up, because I always grew up in like predominantly white areas. I mean, came from Australia, moved over here, and it was like living in Plymouth, Worcester. So all of these were predominantly white places. And although I'm half white, I would always be outed as the chink.
Yeah.
Like, no one even knows my ethnicity.
Yeah.
So I'm just the Chinese one.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, really not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always outed as Chinese one. In fact, I went for a stage of being so insecure about my looks. I used to try and do my makeup in ways where my eyes would look less Asian.
Yeah.
I was insecure when my arse used to stick out of it. Now I'm like, oh, my two favorite features. And it took until I was like year 10, 11 to actually embrace that side of me.
Yeah.
Whereas before I would straighten my hair, I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. So how would you, Kimmy, if like your boys came and they had like insecurities about their race, or someone said something to them about being black or something, like how would you deal with that?
I think the route you've gone along is like just teach them. We've brought these books now that have amazing black history and which are for kids.
Yeah.
And we read them and it's brilliant. And I think the area that we are in as well is that we are in such a mixed area that I think I remember him saying once like, oh, I'm like the only black boy there or something.
Yeah.
But I would, I'll
That's
tell him to embrace it.
like, that they feel that they have to identify themselves as a colour like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But then he identifies to me, he will say to me, no, that white woman over there. So he's not seeing as like, oh, I'm black and you're white. It's kind of like, kids do see colour, but they don't see it as in,
like
hopefully a lot of them don't see it as in like a negative way. It's just like I'm identifying that lady over there.
Yeah.
Because that's how sometimes he will say stuff to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's harmless. But I think how you did it.
Yeah.
I would approach it with the history and talk about it until he actually feels comfortable and understands and feels like he's not an outsider at all.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot more things out now, like books and like even cartoons and films and
Even
like
TV
where it's
TV, it's like you've got icons that
Yeah.
are like are black now for kids, you know.
But I still don't think it's enough.
It's not enough, but I think
It's
it's
happening.
getting
definite
there.
move,
It's
isn't
happening.
it?
Yeah, completely.
Okay, so we got Jack and Naomi. Oh,
Hey! Oh.
So Jack and Naomi are here to talk about interracial relationships with us. So you guys are married.
We are. We got married this year.
Amazing!
Thank you.
How did you guys meet?
On Tinder, actually.
Never.
Yeah.
Did he super like you?
This was before the days. This
Oh.
was old school Tinder. This
Old
is literally,
school.
there was no
Years
fancy
ago.
things. It's just you swiped or you didn't swipe.
Oh,
That was
really?
it, yeah.
Okay,
There was
okay.
no features. There was no nothing.
So
yeah.
who messaged you first?
It was me, wasn't it?
But I'm just notoriously bad on my phone, so even
Yeah.
now he still messages me.
I thought she was playing hard to get by not replying to my messages, but I've learnt that Naomi is
Messages,
just terrible.
so you didn't
with-
just say hey, you said hey, 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 hey.
No.
hey.
Yeah, I was real keen. No. It's like I'd send a message and then we would reply, and then I'd reply pretty quick, and I'd wait for a day, and then I'd get a reply.
Okay.
You know, and I thought she was doing the whole hard to get waiting games thing, and I was thinking, all right, maybe I'll wait a day this time to keep her waiting.
Okay.
There was no plan.
No.
No plan at all.
So how did it like progress? So Tinder, talking, first date, like how did that happen?
So I knew pretty early on. Well, I suppose I kind of felt something.
Okay. Have you
and-
dated black women before?
No.
So she was your first black woman.
Yes.
And had you dated white men before?
Not dated.
Okay. So what have
There've
you?
been interactions with
Right.
white men.
Okay.
But I wouldn't call it dated, no.
Okay. So he was kind of like your first.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So then you asked.
So yeah, I prefer to get to meet someone in person than over messaging, because I feel like if you do your whole like getting to know each other over message and you meet up and it's like where do you start the relationship?
Got
So I asked Naomi out and luckily she accepted. And we both happened to work on Oxford Street actually, so we met after work on Oxford Street one day.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then it just went from there, didn't it?
Yeah.
Was it like love at first sight, or was it like, you know, where did he take you?
Madison Rooftop Garden. Oh,
Nice.
It's just around the corner, isn't it? Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so I was on Tinder, not for marriage.
Yeah.
I was just looking to meet people,
Yeah.
get a drink, have
Yeah.
some food.
Get people to take you out.
Yeah. Can't blame her, can you?
But also we realise I'm now really bad at texting back, so I met him. He was the first person I ever went to see.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And the last person.
Oh wow.
So I think, we got on so well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But neither of us went in with it with the intention of like this is going to be a serious thing. It's like
Okay.
I've been in London for about 3 months, so I was on Tinder trying to like get
Meet
to know people
people,
because it's
yeah.
difficult. Like I speak to people at work,
Yeah.
but I found that even though there's loads of people in London, it's
Yeah.
actually really difficult to start up a natural
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to date my colleagues because
course.
that's not
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to get to know people,
Right.
chatting to a few people,
Yeah.
and we just met and hit it off, didn't we?
Oh,
It was
cool.
just, yeah.
So where are you from originally? You're not from London.
All over, but I grew
Okay.
up in Herefordshire, which is not far from Worcester. I heard that you lived in Worcester for a bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you know, but I mean,
It's
Worcester
country.
seems like ahead of the times compared to Herefordshire. But
Yeah.
I wasn't even in the city, I was in like countryside.
Got you.
So yeah, I grew up in a very, very different background to
Yeah.
London. So yeah.
And so your family is from.
So I was born in Zambia, and
Okay.
about 6 or 7 moved to London, and I've lived here since then.
So all your family are from Zambia.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
and Malawi.
and
yeah.
Malawi. Okay. So my question to you guys: is there cultural clashes in your relationship?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely differences, isn't there?
Can you give us an example of a cultural clash?
So I think it was really evident in the start of our relationship. So my mother,
Yeah.
no boyfriends, no going to see boys. I don't want to see anyone until you're getting married.
Yeah.
So Jack, 3 months dating, oh, come see my mother. I was like, what?
Yeah,
And he also wanted the same thing back because family is important to him.
yeah. I'm really close with all of my family.
Right,
So
okay.
for me, it was a bit. I thought something was a bit off. Like Naomi didn't want me to meet her family. I was like, is she embarrassed about me, kind of
Right,
thing. And
right.
I didn't fully appreciate that Naomi's family they have a bit of a different relationship.
Yeah.
It's more
It's a
strict,
different
whereas
structure.
mine.
Yeah.
I come from a split household, and I
Yeah.
think both of my parents sort of wanted to be my friends as well. So
Yeah.
I'm quite open with
Okay.
both of my parents
Right.
and their partners and everyone. So
Yeah.
I was talking about Naomi to them from the first date. I was like, I went on a date with this girl.
Yeah,
She's really
yeah,
pretty. So that's very different. That took some adjusting.
I'm sorry, I just think like a lot of our cultural differences didn't necessarily come from race, and I've found that as I've talked to other people.
Yeah.
It's my family. My family was strict. If
Yeah.
you went to someone who was from Ireland, from a strict Catholic family, they
They'd
would
be
have
the
the
same.
same
Yeah.
issues
true.
that
Yeah.
So
me
it's-
and Jack had.
It's a
Yeah.
cultural difference, not a racial difference.
Yeah.
And there is they do coincide in this
Yeah.
particular instance, but it's not a rule.
Yeah.
So,
Completely.
yeah.
Cool. Kim?
So my question to you is: have you guys received like abuse from family, friends, or strangers about your relationship?
One time we were just in a park, and there was a man with his daughter, and he was hailing abuse at us. And
Was this in London? Sorry.
in London,
Yeah.
yes,
Burgess
Burgess
Park.
Park, Camberwell.
Yeah.
And it's always attacked at me, like,
Yeah.
how can you be with a white man? Why are you doing this?
Was the
to your
guy
own
black?
man?" Yeah.
Right,
And
yeah.
he was holding his daughter, and I'm like, that's what you're feeding into your daughter. which is
Yeah.
And the thing is, he walked real
Right
quick.
in
Like the
front
park's
of his
big,
daughter
and
as
he
well.
walked like we were sat like off the path, and he walked purposefully like close to us so he could say something.
No
he could have
way.
just like walked on his regular path and avoided the situation, but
Yeah.
he came to purposely come and say something.
That's mad. I mean, why do you think it is that black women get more hate from dating a white man compared to black men dating white women? Because that is generally accepted, whereas it's really looked down on about women.
I think maybe it's like control and ignorance, isn't it, really?
It's just, I don't even, I have no idea. But it's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy because they say that normally in the black culture, especially like American culture, the black women is the most unappreciated. And it's like when you tend to go out of your race and you find better, it's like, well, you don't appreciate me. I found someone that I'm now with. What's your problem?
Yeah.
Like, are we just meant to take and take and take and not be happy and move forward?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? I'm a bit confused. I have a question mark on that. But
I just don't understand why race matters, why the colour of your skin matters. I just find it so annoying and so crazy that people are going to say something just because you're with someone that's it's just annoying.
I think the problem is there are a bunch of people that fetishize interracial relationships.
Yeah.
And then also it's when they're in that interracial relationship, they're saying, oh, I'm with this white woman, I'm with this white man because he's not aggressive, this and this and this. And that's where
that's the negative energy.
It's when you go out of your way to look. If someone's like, okay, I want to date a black person, and they start their scope thinking, okay, I'm a white man, so I want to go out and find myself a nice black girl. That is a problem. You know, anything where you're starting out thinking I'm looking for a particular person, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with an interracial relationship.
If your type is, someone's type might be black women.
That's what you're attracted to.
Yeah.
So my question is, having an interracial relationship is a beautiful thing. However, kids are finding it hard to choose a skin color to identify with. How do you go about dealing with this as a parent? Or how would you deal with it when you become parents?
I think what you guys said before about just making sure it's a balance of teaching people about both cultures. And I think that's something also I had to really reflect on, because there was a long time where I was like, pro-black. But actually in my pro-blackness, I was also wildly generalizing white people. And I was like, Jack's the exception. He's different because he's doing this and this. So, exactly, he's different. And I thought, actually, when I have kids, they are half white and they will be half black. So I can't actually keep spouting generalizations which aren't right. And I think it's just about teaching them to have an individualized idea about what it means to be black and what it means to be white. And ultimately, you have to decide the type of person you want to be.
Which can be defined by you and not by your skin color or whatever. Because the other thing, our child will be mixed. They won't be solely black or solely white. And they will identify in ways that neither of us can fully relate to.
Completely.
But I think what's important for us is, like, we both care a lot about each other's cultures and our own cultures. And we are always wanting to learn more. We talk about it. And particularly through getting married, we were trying to find out more about Naomi's culture.
Did you do the traditional? Did you dress up in the African?
So the problem is, all of Naomi's family, apart from her immediate family, are still back in Zambia. And it's too expensive to get them all over here. So we're gonna go to Zambia and have a big wedding there when we save up the money. But this is the thing, we wanted to try and incorporate some Zambian tradition in the weddings and find out.
I just recently found out I was Malawian. My dad was brought up from Malawi, and a lot of my family are Malawi, and I was like, how have you not told me this?
Exactly. So, but in the end, we found out more about a wedding tradition in Zambia called a kitchen party, and Naomi's mum helped her to organise a variation of that in the UK that we could do, given that all of her family weren't here. And I suppose, I think if we are constantly aware of each other's culture and talking about it, then we can make sure that we can educate our kids on both sides of things, but at the end of the day, the values we need to instill in them are that what's not important is your skin colour, it's the values that you have as an individual.
Completely. So do you think, because I know this was a question somewhere on another show, do you think you could be pro-black and still date outside of your race?
100%.
For sure.
Because I feel like I am. And I think it depends on, I guess, why you're doing what you're doing. And I think people just assume that you're doing it because you have problems in yourself. And have problems dating black people. That's not the case. I've dated black people. I would happily date any other race. And I think it's when you're confident in yourself and just trying to elevate not everybody, elevate in a sense.
All children start innocent. Racism is not something that's internal. It's not built into people. It's instilled in people by previous generations.
I guess I have to say something that I also realised is, like, when I was young, it was so, being light-skinned was such an idealised thing. Like, everyone was light-skinned. There were songs like, I don't know if you know Charmaine de la Rosa. And like, you listen to the lyrics and you're like, I want to be that light with green eyes. And so you can see how that could progress into someone wanting to do that. And I think, introspectively, I was growing up at that time, so I can appreciate that. At some point you're like, I wish I had green eyes. I wish I had curly hair, but then I grew out of it. I thought about it,
and then you accepted who you were, and then loved who you were, and realised, completely.
Even in the Philippines, they have that issue.
And Asian people as well.
Because Filipinos, they're quite dark skinned. They're like Southeast Asian, and it's like, when I was growing up, all my family were like, Chloe, go do actress in that in Philippines. And I'm like, I can't act. And they're like, you don't need to act, you like skin. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And then you watch the films, you're like, okay, yeah, so it is when you're like, you don't need acting skills, you just gotta be good looking, shiny hair and light skin. But they have bleaching products, even in Philippines.
I mean,
Yeah, I
that's a
remember when I was-
whole other topic. Literally,
But even my
literally.
little sister came over from Philippines and she was insecure about her looks, and she's like 12, I think then. And that really saddened me, because I was like, wow, all us women out here trying to get your skin colour.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was quite sad. Okay, so now we're gonna hand it over to the audience questions. Okay. Oh Lord, I don't even know how to pronounce it. This is a question from Sophie's Life Lyrics. Okay. Can you give advice to people who have fallen in love with someone that their family will not accept because of their race?
I suppose it depends if it's, you said family, I guess it depends how close family are we talking to start with. Are we talking, is it parents, brothers, sisters, or is it like great Aunt Sue, you know?
Yeah.
Because if it's a
And
great
then-
answer, we don't get
Yeah, because I mean, and then it's like, well, and where is that issue coming from? I suppose the first thing for me would be to have a conversation and try and understand their viewpoint, because is it coming from a place of fear? Are they just worried that you're with this person for all the superficial reasons that we spoke about? You know, because it's natural for your family to be concerned that you might be entering into a long-term relationship with shaky
But
ground.
I think I've got a feeling this one is probably more like their family are probably old school and traditional and don't like,
Yeah.
you know, the fact that their daughter is going to go with someone else outside
Yeah.
It's
of their
big,
race.
so it's real as
It's
well.
a big
Like,
thing as
if
well.
you
Yeah.
go with them, that's it, you're out of the family.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, how would you have dealt with that if that was the pressure on you guys?
How much do I like the person?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's legit. Like,
Yeah.
am I serious? Am I about to get married to this person?
Yeah.
If that's the case,
It's worth the fight.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to outlive your
Yeah.
parents, hopefully. So
Jesus.
you're hoping that
Yeah.
you're happy with the decisions you live with, innit? You love who you love.
Oh my God, that was so savage. They will die soon.
They're like,
And I think sometimes when some people are in that situation, it is fear, and when people get used to it,
Yeah, they do.
they come around,
They
don't
do.
they?
They do.
I suppose the thing is, for me, I'm thinking if you know your parents are really hardcore, like you say, if they know that like going outside the race or going
Yeah.
outside would be like outside the religion or culture would be a real deal breaker,
Yeah.
then I think you've got to ask yourself when you're looking for a partner, or maybe that's the thing. One, are you looking for a partner? And if you are, then you're going to be aware that if you're going to start dating someone you know your parents are not going to like, why
Yeah.
have you started dating them? You know, because like at that
If
point.
you fall in love with someone,
Yeah, so that's the thing.
fall
If you
in love.
naturally, if you naturally
take
fall
time
in love,
to fall in love,
It
which
just-
means
yeah.
at that beginning when you met, what you're saying is
Yeah,
like
you
you
could
know
make a
your
cons-
parents aren't gonna like
So you know
approve
you're
of
gonna have to
this,
do
Yeah.
it.
but you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
So you're asking for the trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got married in secret, so my mum didn't know that I was
Listen.
married until 2 weeks later. And I was like, Mum, so I'm married to the guy, and then I'm also Muslim now. She was like, sorry, what? I was like, okay, bye, love you, bye. That did not go down well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, you know what, sometimes you just gotta
Do
knock
it.
it off.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, Lord, I regret that decision later on, but
Yeah.
it's taught me a lot.
So I guess the answer to that question is if you're actually certain that this can be something, then you got to
Go
just
for
do
it.
it. Go for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
live your life.
How do you deal with bold or subtle attacks on your partner's race or culture? Do Black Lives Matter to you?
So that's two questions.
It is two questions.
So yeah, I guess the first is how do you deal with attacks on race and culture, and then the second is do Black Lives Matter to you?
Yeah. So I guess it's obviously going to depend on the attack and on how it comes about. Is it coming from if it's coming from a place of ignorance, then potentially you can have a conversation with the person. It depends who it is, you know. And also it depends how loosely we're defining attack. I mean, there have been instances, because my family are not very used to being around black people, there have been times when they've done somewhat inappropriate things in front of Naomi or with Naomi, for example, hair. Like, everyone's really interested in Naomi's hair, right?
Is it annoying?
So-
It's so annoying, isn't he?
But that's
So annoying.
yeah. Yeah. So for example,
They touched it. They tried to touch it.
Yeah.
Girl, they didn't try to touch it.
So
Because one day I had short hair, the next day I had weave. He was like,
It grew really quickly.
yeah.
he actually tried to look under.
No.
He tried to pull
So-
up the hair.
Just to see what was underneath.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
was like to Jack,
But,
because this is
yeah.
an important person in your life. Can you do like?
So we had to have a
God, I
conversation
just-
basically say you can't do that. But yeah.
He
So
tried to
that's
put
it.
it up. I'm sorry.
Curiosity, eh?
Yeah.
Killed the cat.
But you know when you're like, that's your life partner. You can't even be
Yeah.
like, I didn't even know. I was so shocked because it happened so quickly, and you're like,
Yeah.
what just
When you
happened?
went home, you must have been pissed.
But the point is that yeah, it was a bad situation, but it comes from a place of ignorance and it comes from a place of curiosity, like you know,
Which is not
it's
okay.
like which is not okay, but they don't know that, so it's a case of I had to have a conversation, say like, you know,
Who
can't-
checked him? Did you check him or
Yeah.
did she?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then I said, you know, if it happens again, just say walk away. I'll say no. And Amy's like, my reactions aren't quick enough to. But
You know when someone's coming at you, you're like, what?
I need to learn that. It's not there yet.
Oh my god.
But ultimately, we're a team, so
yeah.
and we just tried to find appropriate ways to fight together.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
like having a united front, you know,
Yeah.
and also picking your battles as well. Because
Completely.
sometimes, if someone in the street is saying something as you walk past, it's like, how useful is it to engage with that individual on the
Yeah.
street
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Do you just
yeah.
keep
Just
walking
keep it
past
going.
and
Yeah.
deal with it,
Yeah.
and then we
Completely.
have a conversation saying, you know,
Completely.
and we'll say, you know, we didn't do it, but
Yeah.
and talk about what they brought up.
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Okay, so my question is from Amazing Gralo. Why is there so much hate towards interracial relationships?
I think it's because people think you are dating the person for one particular reason, to have mixtures babies with curly hair. Or
Yeah. Do you think that's from the black and white, or just the black side?
I mean, I guess with me, because I've only ever had it from the black side. Like, I've never been in a situation where white people have attacked our relationship. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, especially for women, like, there's all this men are trash, especially in, I think, for me, women of colour.
Yeah.
So it's like you see a non-trash man dating someone out of his race. You're like, wait, we're all here looking for someone good. What's going on?
Yeah.
And also, like, being black as a woman has been made to not be, it's not like the pinnacle beauty image. It's not in all the media. So, like, when someone doesn't then choose you and is with someone else, you kind of feel like, oh, they're reiterating that idea that we're not good enough.
Completely, yeah.
It's a self-worth thing, I suppose, isn't it? Like if you're looking, like you said, why has that person gone outside my race? Why aren't I good enough? If that's a feeling that is being created when people see interracial relationships, then of course you're going to have a bad attitude towards it.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Ola Barra, I feel a certain way when I see black and white couples, especially black men with a white woman, and I don't know why.
Just like what I just said. It's
Is that a question?
literally what I just
That is a
said.
question.
Yeah.
And it just happens that I read it out. I'm like, I've got a black husband. I know.
But I think that kind of stems from childhood and being in school and like what you said about, you know, black, especially in school, black girls, you was always kind of second best a little bit. You was. And I think it stems from that, you know, the guys around, the black guys were kind of always choosing other girls from other races.
As the community you're in as well now. So if you're in a community that's very pro-black.
But I don't know what it's
keep
like
that.
now. I'm just going, because I think she's probably around our age, so I'm just going back for her in terms of like when we was in school. I think it's changed now because culture's changed. It's now a cool thing to be black, do you know what I mean? So, whereas before, like it was like the whole African Caribbean thing, like it wasn't cool to be African back in the day. So I think that's what that stems for, with her feeling like, oh my God, I feel a way when I see this, because she's probably going back to her school days where she wasn't chosen, maybe. I'm just, it's possible.
Would you ever feel a type of way if you saw it?
Sort of black.
Man with a white woman.
No.
No.
It doesn't At the end of the day, that's what he wants to be with. You know, I can't change it. What am I going to be like, hey, I'm here. Me. I'm not going to do that. At the end of the day, love is love at the end of the day. And whoever that person is happy with, I wish them the best.
Completely.
Exactly. And I think we live in a time now where it's so hard to meet a good person.
Yeah.
Can you really like define yourself to like this?
Yeah, one race.
Literally. One comes.
Okay, final question. It's a long one.
Okay.
This is from Sharmas9_1. If you are dating a white person in interracial relationship, how much of the culture do you allow them to sustain? Are they allowed to say things like N-word and act cultural, or should they stay in their lane?
Wow.
It would be me.
Wow, there's a lot in that question.
It was. Okay,
I think that's one for you to answer, really.
Main answer is no.
yeah.
N-word out of
Yeah,
it.
that's
Like,
a big no.
Yeah.
Sure.
even I'm trying not to say it, but you know, when Drake comes on, you know. But even then I'm like, girl, stop. So no, but I also find it like the question a bit problematic. Allow.
The word allow.
Like,
Yeah.
So are you like with a person and they're like, oh yeah, I want to say these things, and you have to be like, no, you're not allowed to say it. Like, I wouldn't date someone like that.
Yeah.
I even have to have that conversation with like, they're just some fundamental things which are no.
Yeah, it's not about allowing so much, is it? It's about having a mutual respect. And if you're not with someone who respects you and respects your culture, then you can't have an open conversation about it. Sometimes you might say something inappropriate, and then you have a conversation about it, saying this hurt me for these reasons.
Yeah, you can't say that for that.
And then you should adapt. But it's not a case of like if that guy is like, oh, I really want to say all these things, but I can't say it, and then it's like as soon as she leaves the house, it's like put on Drake and just start like.
I make sure to say what Drake said.
Because I've seen a lot of rants like that. Like this guy was like, I'm gonna sing all the nigger words, don't at me because I paid £150 for my ticket. So I was like, and that's your most important thing to rant about? Just go and enjoy the show and shut up. Come on.
Edith always comes with her one-liners.
Wow, it's crazy.
Okay. So this part of the show, we give our tips and solutions of what we think could help the audience if they're going through situations in an interracial relationship. So let's start with Edith.
Yeah, so my tip and solution would be skin color, race or culture should not define who you love. As long as you match with your soulmate, I think you guys should flourish together.
That was so cute.
That was so nice.
That was so cute.
You should just cut it there.
Yeah, that was cute. Kim?
So my tips and solutions would be, if you are in an interracial relationship, learn from each other and use each other's differences to make your relationship as successful as it can be.
There's been some great tips. I guess mine would be just be really careful about generalizations. Just because of what you've seen before about black people or white people, it doesn't mean that everyone you meet is going to be like that. And when you get into a relationship, don't make all these assumptions that this white person or black person you're dating is going to meet all the stereotypes and expectations that you have. So just be open to learning about the individual as a person and their own individual culture.
I think it's important to talk to your partner about things that are important to them and try your best to assimilate and learn from each other.
Yeah. So my tip would be to anyone who is in an interracial relationship and have children and are going through any confusion with their children, thinking that they don't have an identity, teach your children who they are, where they're from, their background, encourage them to love who they are, love the skin they're in, love their curly hair, love their afro, love who they are.
I would say that people can say some like hurtful things, but I think we all need to kind of rise and learn from each other. We should embrace each other's differences, and we need to learn and compromise, really. So
I think everyone's pretty much covered the points. So all I'm going to say is just love who you want to love. At the end of the day, that's it.
Love is love, and it has no colour. So if you like today's show, please like, subscribe, and follow us.